Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. I'm your host, Savy, the founder of Gimme a Break. Gimme a Break's a nonprofit organization. By the way, we are an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that's caring for caregivers to bring back the joy of caregiving. And each week, we're here to help caregivers to not just survive, but to thrive beyond caregiving. And that's really the goal. That's our mission. We want to not just see you survive it and hang in there. We want you to continue to thrive, return to your life, be able to build on your life, be able to have your own wonderful time before you then are going to be cared for, as we all need someone to care for us at one point in our life. Anyway, check out what we do. You can go to our website, pay attention, Savvy, get on it. Here we go. GAB808.org. Really easy. Give me a break. GAB808. We're right here in Hawaii.org. So super easy to remember. And you can get a lot of information on our website because, gosh, I know it's hard. And I'm sorry, I'm flicking like crazy today, but it is just hot, isn't it? How many caregivers are out there that are steaming hot today? I know I am, and I'm just done. I want the winter to come, and this humidity is just phenomenal. I have like 2 fans going, and my hair's blowing all over the place. So we're blowing in the wind as well today, and we're going to get through this. I'm just glad you're here and that you're able to see this, and I hope that something today will be able to make your caregiving journey that much better. Who do we have? We had somebody that rejoined. Okay, that's okay. No problem. I'm not sure what happened. Okay, we're good. And I think you're back, Heather. Heather's in our green room getting ready to come on. I'm excited to talk to her today. And gosh, caregivers, I want to point out one other thing before I move on, is that we do have our support sessions every week. And let me just, where is it? There it is. Nope, that's not it. I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, my buttons are going off, and let's take this off, and let's see if I can get the right one on. There it is. Wow, look at that. Okay, so if you're a techie kind of a person and you have nothing better to do in your life and you want to volunteer every Wednesday at 12 noon, please contact me because I would love to have a behind the scenes person clicking all these lovely buttons. I know I do it so well, but there you go. All right. So we have our support sessions for you every Wednesday, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Please join us. Caregivers, this is open to the public. It's open to you. It's for any caregiver anywhere. Join us. We had 2 new people join us last night, and it's been wonderful having caregivers share their stories and being able to share tips with each other. And of course, we put some education in there. And the whole point is this is your positive, safe space. This is where you can say those things you want to say. This is where you can get it off your chest. And I'm not saying this is a bitch session. It's not. It's a positive, safe space. And we're going to help you get through it and then do better. And we do it as a community of caregivers every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Just go on your Zoom, and it's meeting ID 808-754-3787. Okay, just type that in, and there you go. You join us, and you're with us on the show. All right. And let's see if this works, shall we? And Giver's Guides. And so the Caring Caregiver Show is actually brought to you by Gimme a Break. But Gimme a Break, one of the resources that we have, and also a way for us to be able to give you a mahalo gift with any $25 donation is you can enjoy our Giver's Guides online magazine. The Giver's Guides online magazine is created so that caregivers can have a resource in hand, well, on your phone or on your device, and articles written for caregivers by caregivers. And they do things like, 6 tips to relieve stress, right? 10 emotional care ideas. This is this month's issue currently out for October. It's actually our 4th anniversary issue. And there's just some amazing articles. In fact, I forgot to load it. That's all right. In fact, there's articles in there, just ways for you to be able to cope. So I know you can't watch the show 24/7, and I know you can't always be at one of our events. And gosh, you can only do so much on a website. So $25 donation helps us to pay for the things that we do, like this show. And you get 12 issues, 12 monthly issues that come to you on a link, and you can watch it on any device. It's an online magazine that lessens our carbon footprint, and that's why we do it. There's just so much happening here. I hope that you can enjoy that. So you just go to that gab808.org again and donate/donate, and there you go. All right, that's enough with all of that. Let's just remove that from the screen, and let's get on with our show. Episode 16. This is season 16, episode 2. Wow. 16 seasons. That's nearly 5 years of sharing resources with all of you. And let's just say that if any of you need those resources, you can go on to gab808.org, and you can also do /CCS or Caring Caregiver Show, CCS, and you can find the past episodes and look for a resource maybe that you want to find out more about. So there is a library for you to be able to connect with those resources. And the reason we have them on the show is so that you see they're caregivers just like you. You know, they understand. They know what you're going through. Okay, so we get the struggle, right? We all got that struggle. And today I'm going to share with you, you know, a lot of us are afraid of change. We kind of do the same thing all the time. And change is coming fast and furious, especially in the world online and the world out there of how to get things done. And you might think as a caregiver, you don't have time to keep pace with what's going on. But I think there's a really great time saver for caregivers out there, and it's in AI. That's right. AI can even be your safe person. We talk about safe person all the time. But AI is a wonderful, wonderful tool that caregivers can use. And today, my guest is going to tell us all about that. She's with Insurebot Solutions, LLC. I want to welcome my guest today, Heather Rocco. Heather, hi, welcome to the show.
Aloha.
It's so wonderful to have you here. I'm excited to talk about this because I know, and I feel like we're going to end up talking for quite some time because I know there's so much when it comes to AI and, of course, and all the things that you do. So before we get started, please tell us your caregiving journey.
Well, my caregiving journey is really through my mother's eyes and what my mother did with her parents and the hospice at home for her mother. And honestly, my grandmother waited till I got back from Germany to pass. I landed, I came straight to my grandmother's house, and I spent time with her. And the very next morning, my grandfather called saying that she had passed. So it's insane what you see during these journeys. And then my grandfather's story. And after my grandmother passed, my parents took him in. And both their kids were gone, and they cared for him. But they also made a decision to leave New York and move out to Hawaii to be closer to their grandkids. So there was a choice then. It was put my grandfather in a home or bring him to Hawaii. And talk about a trip. My mom is an immigrant. They came from Germany after World War II to New York. So he went from Poland to Germany to New York and spent his last 5 or 6 years in Hawaii with some pretty serious dementia.
Wow. But
Um,
he pretty much crossed the globe. I think that's at least 180% of the globe there, maybe a little more, from Germany all the way around and ending up in Hawaii. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
so it's, and just what my mom did and my father taking him every day. So they would go, and this was before COVID, they would go to Foodland in Kailua when they still had the cafe open. Now there's plants there, and they would sit there. And my grandfather always said he wanted to go for tea, but it wasn't tea he wanted to go for. He wanted to go for a pastry. And the man was diabetic and probably shouldn't have been having pastries, but he was in his 90s and with some pretty severe cognitive stuff going on. And my father was just there. It was his father-in-law and took him every day to Foodland. And they wound up meeting the most unusual characters, and I'm kind of a little sad. At that point, I was still working for the Army, so I didn't get to see all of this. There was someone that would go into Foodland with a parrot all the time. So they met the parrot person. Um,
What an adventure.
yeah. And so every caregiver story isn't always about the bedside and how it's tough. Sometimes it's going out to coffee with that person to get them out of the house.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, it was getting out of the house too, because his movement was pretty limited. Um, and my parents live in Kailua, and the other amazing story was my grandfather would watch the news. He was a big fan of Jeopardy and then watching the news. That was his little habits and traditions. And they would always talk about snow. And here in Hawaii, we know it snows on the Big Island. So they talk about snow. Well, where they live in Kailua, they can see the kualaus right from the front door. So my grandfather would hear about the snow coming to the mountain, and he was convinced all the time there was going to be snow in Kailua on the kualaus because he didn't quite put two and two together with Big Island and Kailua here. And to make things more interesting was there's a Kailua on the Big Island too. So, but these are the happy stories that
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I love
remember
that.
when you reflect back in those caregiving days that might have driven you crazy. It's never gonna snow in
I know,
Kailua.
right? Just
To
let it
be
go.
like,
Yep. It's really
wow, that
funny. Last night in our support session, we were talking about that too, and talking about, how it's so hard to fight off all the negativity when you're caregiving because we're tired, we're exhausted, we're frustrated, we're angry. And so, but also it's how important it is to make positive memories and to try to find and show gratitude for those happy moments that you have. So you can later look back, and we all shared some happy moments. I shared a moment I had with my mom because my mom was a jokester and it was all about April Fools for her. And I remembered a time when she totally April Fools me and we all laughed and she, she was really good at it, right? Because most of the time she was this tiny little Japanese lady who was very serious and you must do this, you always do this, and very regimented. And she would break that mold once a year on April Fool's Day and get everyone. She would always get us. And we laughed and laughed and laughed. And so this is something that's really important. And I love that you're sharing this because we have to develop that core of memories that are happy. Because once the caregiving ends, that should be what we remember. not how hard it was or how difficult it was or the times when we fought and argued and the frustration, but we want to remember those happy memories. So I love that you shared that. Thank you. That's a wonderful thing. Well, I know we could probably share a lot more stories, but let's talk about, I know AI is a safe person was what I put it as the title, because also there's another thing that I tell caregivers, and that's that they have to have a safe person, someone that they can go to and share those feelings of frustration that they have, that's not going to judge them. So let's talk about AI, because AI is the big thing out in the news now. It's everybody's using it and everyone's afraid to start using it. And some people like just using Chat GPT or, other forms of AI. But let's talk about that and what you do.
Well, specifically for this show, there's two things I really want to talk about. And whenever you're in the state of overwhelm, which I think is a constant state for caregivers,
Yeah.
trying to do the little things it's hard. So what I did for everyone was I built a custom GPT. So if you put this link in, and at the end you put /GAB, it will lead you to a custom GPT that you can take a picture of your refrigerator or put the 3 things that you have in the house, and it will create a meal for you. Or it's a choose your own adventure. Let's say you want to pre-plan on Sunday. You can say plan for me for the week and press that button, and it'll ask you for, okay, what would you like to do? It'll create a checklist for you to go to the grocery store. And now it takes some of that cognitive, like, what do I do? What do I cook? Because you have to eat. Like, that's part of it. You have to feed the person you're caring for. You didn't go to the store. You only have, and honestly, when I was messing around,
Oh, a little bit of a weak signal there.
I put in, and like one other thing. Oh, lag. Oops.
We're kind of losing you there, Heather. I hope you come back.
Oh, so we're back.
There you go. Your signal's a little iffy.
But I look like I'm back. So I was able to put 3 things in there, and it was like a can of beans, pasta, and cheese, and it came back with a pretty nice dinner for me. So it's like, you think of Chopped, and you're like, those people who are super creative, AI is now your Chopped.
I cannot even tell you how bad I want this. Every single day, the question of the day is always, what am I going to make for dinner? Right? And it's always, what's for dinner? What am I going to make for dinner? And if anyone else out there, we're all caregivers, we're probably the designated feeders. You have to always think about that, or you have to plan out for the week. Oh God, I got to go grocery shopping. What am I going to make for dinner for the next week? And it just seems to overwhelm everything. Now, the fact that I absolutely want this, because then all I have to do is say, do a week's worth of meals for me and generate a shopping list, right? Oh my goodness. And I could take a picture of my pantry or my refrigerator, and it'll say what I have and don't have. Yep. I love that. That can help caregivers a lot, right? Did you ever think you needed this, caregivers? Wow. That's amazing, Heather.
So the other thing that I didn't even have planned to talk about today, but when you were talking about the YouTube resources that you have for this community, One of Google's most amazing AI tools that no one seems to ever have heard of is something called Google Notebook LM. And any free Google account, you go to your Hollywood squares in the corner and you look for Google Notebook LM. And what you can do is pull in those YouTube videos. So let's say you have season 2 is your favorite season of Gimme a Break, and Giver's Guide. And you take those and you put them in, and that becomes your safe space. Maybe some of the people that were your favorite hosts on here, it learns it, and then it creates a mind map of those videos, so you can go exactly, I'm freezing up again,
It's great.
back to those videos that you really liked. It creates a smaller podcast from all of them. So maybe you want a different take on it, but it's not just YouTube videos you can put in there. You can put in websites, you can put in PDF documents. So you're a subscriber to the magazine, you can put them in there as well. And through the AI, ask questions. It can make an FAQ for you from it as well. It creates a blog post from it,
So
which
you can
honestly,
basically have this pull all of your resources into one space. And then you
yeah,
can say, hey, I need a resource for respite. And all of that will generate
yep,
within seconds, correct?
yes.
It's amazing because we didn't have this before. And for a caregiver to find a resource was pulling a leg and trying to get a hold of somebody or trying to find it or search for it. Who has that kind of time? Now you're saying you can create a whole folder for that and just go, hey, can you find I need a resource for this today? And
Yep.
bang, it's up, right? Oh, do
Yep.
you think there would ever be a time when it would sort of know what you need just by the fact that what you're searching and asking for all week, it might say, hey, I noticed that you did all of this. You might need this one too.
Absolutely. ChatGPT does that now. So for my business, all the time when I prompt it, I say, from what you know about me and my business, how can you help me with X, Y, or Z? Because it's got a memory in there. And Google Notebook will eventually have a memory based on your chats once you create it. So you can say, based on my history of what I've asked you, what do you think I should read or research next?
Yeah, I love that.
And it'll give it to you.
That's amazing. I think that we shouldn't be afraid of AI, right? We should know that we can use the AI to really help on all of those tedious tasks that we end up doing that take up so much of our day and time. And then we can use that time to decompress, meditation, have a little me time, put some eye patches under your eye and sit in front of a fan and call it a day, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? I love that. I love that. What other suggestions do you have?
Well, and it's funny that you're talking about being afraid. One of the series I had on my YouTube channel in shorts were inventions when they first happened that people were terrified of. And one of them was the vacuum cleaner. Could you imagine living without a vacuum cleaner these days?
No,
And
can't.
it was just a funny series to help with AI awareness. And yeah, you can be afraid of it, but people were afraid of everything in the beginning, and it changed their life. They thought electricity was going to burn their homes down. And now, can you imagine not having electric in your house?
Well, and there even nowadays, a modern day is a regular dial phone. That there are actually people who still want to use a telephone and won't use a cell phone. And boy, I'll tell you, you can see the difference in life when you've got a smartphone as opposed to picking up a receiver for a connected lined phone in your home and not being able to have people get in touch with you. And I don't know what we'd do without our phones, right? So I think that with all of these things, the most important part is, what quality of life can you have in your caregiving journey if you do try something like this, as opposed to not having an AI assistant, right? Or just some sort of help, because every caregiver I talk to wants help. Well, here's a great way to get help. Right there, easy, right? So how does somebody get started? What's the easiest thing for them to do? What's the simplest way to get started?
So that's funny. That's actually what I do for a living.
Well, ironically.
Love how you led into that. I run a community on the platform called School. So again, if you're interested in that, it's my website /SKOOL. And you can come into that, and it's called AI 101. The first class in the classroom is called What is a GPT? So for people who are curious, it's generative pre-trained transformer. What does that mean, Heather? So I assume everyone who's listening to this has used spell check at least once. Spell check was trained on a dictionary. It was pre-trained. So what it does is it generates a best guess, and it transforms whatever you try to spell into the correct spelling of that word. So you've been using a form of AI probably for the last 30, 40 years. And it just wasn't called AI. But now what it can do is it takes paragraphs, and it's been trained on so much data, it can transform that. Hence, taking a picture of your fridge, it goes through its immense database and can give you recipes instead of how do you spell Mississippi. So that's where we start in the very beginning, just like Maria said in The Sound of Music. And then what I do is I show you different tools, like we talked about Google Notebook LM, how to ask ChatGPT the right question to get the answer you're looking for. I don't talk about N8N or Zapier or all of these other tools that eventually you'll probably be like, ooh. When you really go down these rabbit holes, when you see how in the beginning this stuff helps you so much, and then you're like, what else is out there? It becomes like the library behind me. What else can I explore? What else can I do? But like everywhere, you have to start at the beginning. No one's born a caregiver. You don't know how to.
We have no idea what to do. And you know what? I love what you said. You have to ask the right questions. And so I know you've made some movie references. So iRobot's mine, and if you've seen iRobot, it says you have to ask the correct question to get an answer. And I've had an on and off toxic relationship with spell check, but now we're coming to terms because I'm learning to, ask the right questions. Right. And I think that's that learning that you have to give time for. A lot of people are just, it drives me crazy. But I think sometimes you need to take a breath. And this is a great meditation for you, because if you can sort of work this relationship together and overcome the obstacles, then in the end, AI becomes a great tool. And it's not going to be a toxic relationship like that we've had with spell check in the past 30 years. And so spell check now is learning. And it's really funny. I just talked to somebody about this the other day, and I said, about 20 years ago, when you would type in mahalo, spell check would turn it into Malox. And so now, but now when you type in mahalo, spell check gets that. It's learned it, and it's learned it over the years. And so you have to give that time, and you have to start that relationship and be positive. And it's great lessons for us in many other things, especially in our caregiving, to have that patience, to work with it, and to breathe, and then allowing that process to grow, I think, is a great thing. So I love what you're talking about. I love that this is something that no caregiver would ever think that they needed, but I think caregivers need it the most. Yeah,
they do, because they're in a state of overwhelm all the time. And I look at my mom, I look at my dad, and him getting frustrated with my grandfather. It wasn't because he didn't love him. It's just he was overwhelmed by everything to make sure that this man who used to take care of him, that was now taken care of. My grandfather, when he was in his late 70s, rebuilt my parents' bathroom. So to go from that to seeing him that he needed a caregiver, it messes with your head.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for the person that needs care, and it's tough for the caregiver. And no one tells us how to get through this, and we just sort of go from calm to chaos anyway, right? So it's because there's more than one person involved in this whole journey. We all have to find ways to cope, and we all have to be there for each other. And it's a tough one. No one ever prepares for this. That's why one of the things we're talking about also in our support group is that we talk about your care receiving plan and what you're doing for that now to help it be better. So, these are the kind of things that will help us in the future. But right now, for those who are in the throes of caregiving, wow, I think Heather's got a great solution for you guys. You can get a hold of Heather at Insurebot.ai. And if you want to go a little bit further than that, you can go to insurebot.ai/school, spelt the way it's not supposed to be, SKOOL, because spell check would correct that, wouldn't it? And so it's not shul, but it's school, SKOOL. And I think that's a lovely, wonderful program. I'm excited. I hope the caregivers are going to contact you and get some help, because Heather's wonderful, and she'll be able to guide you to everything you need. Any last words before we sign off with you?
Give it a whirl. Say, and you know what? The other thing is, if you're using ChatGPT a lot, ask it to tell you the good things it sees about you that you might not see about yourself, because it's honestly programmed to be a really good friend, and it will light you up. And it'll show you that, especially if you've been talking to it for even a couple of months. It recognizes the goodness in you. And that was honestly one of my favorite prompts when I started my journey. So when you're having a bad day, ask ChatGPT the good things that it sees about you that you might not see about yourself.
Oh, I love that. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to do that today. Yeah, that's awesome. We all need a pick-me-up, and what a great way to create positivity. And I love it. And we forget as caregivers to allow ourselves to feel those good feels and to be proud of our accomplishments. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing and coming on the show today, Heather. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We'll keep in touch. I'm probably going to have a lot of questions, as everybody else will. So just get a hold of Heather, and Insurebot.solutions.ai is the way to go. All right. Aloha.
Right.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. Bye. Malox. I know, too funny. Oh, wow. So that was great. And she's really helping us to see that AI is a safe person for us in many, many ways. And I love that you can turn to AI to really help build you up. You know, we need a lot of that as caregivers, and we feel lost. So you can be found now. You know, this season is really all about resources that are just amazing that you never would have thought of. And I'm really excited to talk to her because I'll be honest, I've been a little intimidated. I've gone very slowly. I've been very trepidatious about my AI journey. And so this has really opened my eyes to see that I'm just going to buckle loose, boy. I'm going to let it go and really find out what can be accomplished by using AI. I'm excited. So thank you for that, Heather. And to all caregivers, just give her, contact her, and just get on there, go to her website and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun for you, and I'm definitely going to save you many, many steps. All right. So it's an honor, as always, to bring the Caring Caregiver Show to you and to give and to share with you, most importantly, the resources, but also we've been sharing caregiver stories. And caregiver stories are really important. Not only does it connect community, but it also helps to create an awareness of what you go through as a caregiver, of what everybody and every caregiver is experiencing. And the more awareness we can create, the more it's going to open doors for us. Because 5 years ago, some of the resources we have now did not exist. And that's testament to the fact that we are sharing those stories, that we're getting those caregiver stories out there. People need to know what we're going through, and that we need support, and that we need help. And that's one of the reasons why every year, now going into our 5th year, we have our Caregiver of the Year contest. Our Caregiver of the Year contest, add to stage. There we go. I did it. I'm so proud of myself. Our Caregiver of the Year contest is really all about sharing those stories. It's about advocating. It's about letting people know that we are here. I talk about this all the time, and I talk about my love for Dr. Seuss and the book, The Horton Hears the Who. And for those of you who are Dr. Seuss fans or even aren't, go and check out the book, Horton Hears a Who. It's a great story about an elephant who finds a little dandelion. And because elephants have great hearing, he hears voices. And it turns out that on that little dandelion is a whole society of people, a whole community of people. And only he can hear them, and no one believes him. And so they have to find a way for people to hear them. And they make this big long horn, and and the community has to come together for a loud enough voice to say, we are here, we are here, we are here, so that people realize not to destroy their world and to realize that there's people there. Well, that's like caregivers. Here we are, but we're isolated and we're hidden and we're invisible, but we are here. And so we need to share your stories. We need to tell these stories. And I know sometimes that is hard too. We don't have to share all the details, but just enough so people know we exist. And that's what the Caregiver of the Year contest is all about. And currently it is open for entry. And all you have to do is go to gab808.org/CGOY 2025. Do that before October 31st and share your story. Enter the contest. Share your story. And you, of course, will have a winner, but we're all winners just by sharing our story. And we take all those stories and we give it to a panel of people that are selected that have no idea who anybody is, and they just read these stories. And the one that touches their heart the most is the one they choose, and that person becomes Caregiver of the Year. Here pictured on the screen right now is our 2023 Caregiver of the Year and our 2024 Volunteer of the Year together at one of our Caregiver of the Year Awards Gala. And so that's the perk as well, is that when you enter the contest, you automatically get to come to the gala, and that's a night out for you. So that's a wonderful thing. And of course, you could win a pamper cruise. But share your story. Use your voice. let people know that we're here. Do you know that currently there is really no funding earmarked for caregivers? We have no funding. Give Me a Break doesn't get any federal or state funding or anything. We're here because of the thoughtful donations and the kindness of people's hearts. And we've managed to do that for 5 years. But wouldn't that be great if we could get funding and we could put Give Me a Break all over the world? If they would actually earmark funding for caregiving. There is none. So we're going to change that, but we need your voice to do so. So go on, let yourself be heard. We need to be heard. Caregivers need help. And the more we can do that, the more support we can get for caregivers. So let's just scream at the top of our lungs. We are here, we are here, we are here. All right. And sign up for the contest. Just go to gab808.org/CGOY 2025. And I hope to see you at the gala. All right. Yeah, so there you go. That wraps up our second episode of season 16. And I want to thank Heather so much for being here with Insurebot Solutions, LLC. Thank you. And for helping us to see that AI is our safe person. Whew. Now, remember that this show is brought to you and paid for by Give Me a Break. So we need your donations to keep going. And we appreciate every single one of those donations. And if that donation is $25 or more, well, you're going to get a mahalo gift of 12 monthly issues of the Giver's Guides magazine. That's the way we give back. We don't like to take anything. I grew up, if you borrowed something, you returned it back better than you borrowed it. And if you get something, you give back a gift. And that's just the way we are as well. So we try to make sure that if you're going to help us and with a monetary donation, well, then by all means, we're going to give you something for that. Okay. That's what we do. And keep all that coming, all of this coming, the show and everything by your donation. So that's what we're all about. Don't want to miss a single show. Put it on your calendar. Put it in your phones right now, every Tuesday live at 12 noon, the Caring Caregiver Show. And we're streaming live on 7 platforms right now. So we're on 4 different Facebook pages. We're on LinkedIn. We're on 2 different YouTube channels. And so just somehow watch us. And if you are watching us right now, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. We need all of that. Not because we want to get paid by anybody, but because the more viewers we have, the more you subscribe, we can get higher ratings, and then we get more caregivers that we can reach. And we want every single caregiver to be able to know that we're here and know that they have resources, know that they have help. You can also follow on podcasts, because the podcast in about a week after each show on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google, any platform you use, we're there. And if you have a hard time doing it, again, go to our just go to our website, gab808.org/CCS, and you can click on straight from there. All right. If you are watching on YouTube, here's our link for that on screen as well. So if you're watching it live, just go to Gimme a Break 808/streams on YouTube, and you'll find all of our back shows. Whatever you do, caregivers, don't isolate. Stay connected. That's what we're here for. That's what we're all here for. Okay? Stay connected. You need to be here. All right? And we'll be back next week. And next week, we have a couple of great guests. We have Beth Meek to talk about nutrition for caregivers. And also Tony Verselli is going to update us about caregivers and a new booklet that he has. So it's going to be very interesting. Just remember, whatever you do, caregivers, breathe. And here's hoping that you're finding more joy in your caregiving every week here in the Caring Caregiving Show. Thanks for tuning in, and please always be kind to yourself, and especially to those who are caring. Aloha, everyone. Have a wonderful week. See you next week.